would give you guys more screen room.
Right?
Yeah, we're like,
I know. Oh no, this sucks.
That's all right. Whatever. We can deal.
Do you want me to have Rachel jump on to like be a fourth?
Be in the corner.
Like you guys are literally like, can you follow that link? They are literally like.
Is there like options on how to have it set up, like just without adding people?
I'm so dumb. Oh,
wow. Hey,
that makes me.
That works.
Large. Yeah, but then I'm huge. Like,
well, can we change?
You're the moderator.
Who wants to see this much forehead?
There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, that works.
There we go. Yeah,
Hey.
we don't have to be like.
Yeah, we were literally like this. Like,
Matt and Brittany squish.
Wow, that's an exciting way to start the panel. I appreciate everybody. Me and Bryson were like talking about what we were doing in our awesome food war that's coming and how cool it's gonna be. And I'm like getting the backdrop ready, and I have all my Inasa showing. And then I like look over, I'm like, what happened? Oh, and then it's just all just froze. It's just Bryson like.
I wasn't
out,
sure.
like, cool.
I thought you had disconnected or something because I just saw you frozen putting up one of the metal plates or something. It was great.
Yeah. Except on my side, I was like, oh my gosh, I just lost everything.
Yeah, no, that could be terrifying.
Woo! Brad just became a It's really easy to like. Yeah, I don't know. There's no. If you come closer to the camera, you just get huge. That's how the camera works. We were taking all sorts of dramatic. Rachel's laughing at my pictures, Bryson. So for everyone that doesn't know yet, because we haven't announced it, I have challenged Bryson Baugus to a food war that will be taking place on the 29th of July, right?
Mm-hmm.
At 7:30 Central. It's like prime time, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, and we will be fighting each other in the kitchen, and we will be presented secret ingredients by people that know what they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like in Kitchen Stadium. It's going to be awesome.
Bryson, are you going to make spaghetti?
Maybe. I don't know.
don't spoil it.
I don't know.
I love how Brittany just went like right there. She like didn't even. She's like, "You're making a pasta, aren't you?"
Well, we know he likes spaghetti.
We know
I like
we
spaghetti.
play Jackbox.
Yes. Oh yeah. So there's an inside spaghetti truck. There's an inside joke. There was one. It was like 2 months ago or something. We were playing a game called Fibbage on Jackbox where. I said something about how I wish there was a spaghetti truck so you could have like a food truck that just serves spaghetti. And I was like, that'd be interesting. And it just stuck with me.
I'm imagining it in like a cotton candy like wisp thing. You know, like you just like take a fork and go in it, and then you take it out and it's just got spaghetti on it.
Dude, you realize that's how you win, right, Bryson? Like,
oh yeah.
If you can make cotton candy spaghetti, come on.
Like hit it on a cone and then serve it like that. But I feel like I've seen that in a cartoon somewhere or something. That sounds like something I heard of before.
I bet I didn't come up with it.
You're original.
Matt made it up.
I'm searching the internet right now. Like if
spaghetti cotton candy. No, I'm not gonna look at it.
You're good. You're good.
How do you spell? No one can spell spaghetti. S-P-A.
Spaghetti.
There's like a hint.
Spaghetti.
There we go. Spag. Yeah. Cotton candy. Yeah. Now I'll never be able to pronounce spaghetti without saying spaghetti ever again.
Like Bryson, I think we have matching headphones.
I was thinking.
Do we? Yeah, I got these DT. Well, these are the open back versions, the 990s, but I also have 770 in the other room.
Yeah, these are 770s.
I prefer my silly looking at front view, whatever these are. I forget.
Where the things just kind of hang out on the side.
Yeah, these just are more comfortable.
The chat's probably like, "What the hell is this?"
We're doing professional audio headphone talk.
This is voice acting talk. We talk about our headphones.
I'm
spaghetti.
I'm looking for like my set. I'm like, why don't I have? I feel left out. Like everybody on stream has. I wore them once. It felt weird to. You guys, spaghetti. Pasta, oh my gosh, spaghetti is pasta. I'm losing it. This is my 4th panel in a row. Cotton candy spaghetti doesn't exist.
Okay, cool. We're doing it.
Oh, it's totally new territory, you guys.
Yes.
Like, if you can't Google it, it's not real. Have you seen it somewhere?
No.
Okay.
I think he just made it up.
I'm concerned with what that would be. Like the texture in order to like, in a cartoon, you just draw it and it happens and it's spaghetti. But in real life, I don't know. Would it be like concentrated cotton candy?
Just fiberglass fiberglass spaghetti.
No, I feel like maybe if the utensil had like trays on it, almost like, I don't know if they use, like, you could fake it with a cake, right? Like if you're building a multi-tier. Do they ever use plastic inside of a cake to like make it multi-tier?
I think
to support it, right?
Yeah.
So
give it like support beams.
So what if you had we all know what a cotton candy cone looks like.
Yeah.
Right? So what if you had that, but it had like a plastic insert? It was like a circle.
That looks like soft serve ice cream almost.
And then when you go to wrap the spaghetti has something to sit on, and so like it can work.
Yeah,
Bryson, I really think like it doesn't exist.
I like how we've gone into the planning of the logistics of a new business.
I'm just saying, I'm the one who said it. So
you're getting all the royalties there, Matt.
Are you a consumer? Matt? Would you shop at this food truck? Would you shop at the Spaghetti food truck?
I mean, honestly, if it was a cotton candy machine that somehow spawns spaghetti onto like a weird spaghetti utensil, made spaghetti utensil, yes, I would have to try it at least once.
Okay,
but
yeah,
I mean, how much of a
regular demand
spaghetti head am I? I want to say like a
spaghetti.
Spaghetti. That's not a spag head. Spaghetti head. Like, I don't know how much of a spaghetti head I am to have spaghetti that often, but I would try.
Stick.
So we could get
the novelty of it,
but then the question is, could we?
Is there staying power, or is it one of those you get in, you make your money while you can, and then you get out?
Maybe.
I think the other problem is like. At least for a guy with a beard, dude, just the thought of like, I could, the pasta sauce, yes, you get it.
Yeah.
It would be like this would be covered in pasta sauce. Is there, can you make a noodle with flavoring? Can you make a
inherent flavoring? Probably.
You marinate the noodles.
Sure.
Can you do that?
Yeah,
probably,
I think, and like they make noodles out of like, I don't know,
flour eggs and stuff.
Yeah.
So like they could, I don't know.
Okay. Take a lot of engineering. Definitely not gonna be able to solve today. Yes. Brittany Lauda, Matt Shipman, Bryson Baugus, welcome to Color World Live. I am excited to have you guys.
Excited to be here. Thanks for having us.
I'm looking at our names now and I'm like, should I have labeled us as Ichigo and Hito?
I play Hito.
And I play Ichigo.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm the host.
And I play a boy named Mitsuru.
A boy.
Oh man. What? Slick pasta. Why would it taste disgusting though?
Well, because you got to think about like cotton candy, like the spool of sugar, it forms on the cotton candy stick. So I keep imagining the spaghetti being in like almost unseeable.
That's why I was saying fiberglass noodles.
Yeah, and then it comes together on the spaghetti. You know, it's like, but you could just make something that looked like the cotton candy machine that had holes big enough for
regular spaghetti.
Noodle, and it just comes out.
That's what I guess from the
beginning. This is the central theme of the panel for the rest of the
panel. So I'll insert my warning here that we don't do questions in the first panel. This is literally for us to get to know each other because I have never, Brittany and Matt and I am sure we've been in the same room together 20 times in 5 years. And I've never had a chance to say hello. So this is and Bryson and I are old friends. Was New York the first time, Bryson?
Yeah. Anime NYC this past November. And yeah, that was the first time you came out to my booth and you were like, I've been trying to track you down because I got Food Wars and I got Danmachi. And I was like, oh, cool. But yeah, that was the first time I met you. And then we had the event last month and everything. And that was a lot of fun with Blake and John and Jade.
Dude, November feels like, is it just, tell me that November feels like way over a year ago, right?
Oh, in some ways it does, in some ways it doesn't. I don't know about everybody else. To me, a lot of the staying at home, to most people, it seems like it's making everything go so much slower. To me, it feels like everything's going way faster. Like it feels like, I don't know.
It's depending on the day for me.
Yeah,
like,
it depends on the
that was
day.
like a week ago, and it was like 5 months ago, and then I'm like, when did we get the lawn cut? Like 2 months ago at this point. It's like, no, it's not.
Yeah, and it's like, especially when we talk about like, oh, we've been playing Jackbox for like 15 weeks.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
It's
just sort of like a checkpoint every Tuesday. Like
thinking like, oh, Maddie's like, oh, I've won playing Trivia Murder Party 9 times. And I'm like, I think it's been more like 13 times.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, for me, it's a fast forward experience, like hard. I always know, like when my kids are like, oh, we only have 2 hours, and I'm like, in what kid's life have they ever said only 2 hours? Usually you tell a kid like 2 hours, they're like, oh, and they like wander around the house like, oh, 2 hours.
2 hours so long.
I know.
It depends on that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I have never, there's at least before with shows, there was like the driving.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was still like doing something, but let's be honest, when you drive, I drove 100,000 miles a year every year for like 5 years straight.
Dang.
Like, there's no effort involved in driving at this point. Like, at least for me, I just, you know what I mean? I'm like, I will watch an entire season of anime while driving. Part of that is my ability to multitask. I recognize that not everybody can do that safely, but whereas now there's no like, it's just more. It's more of this. Are you guys, Matt, Brittany, are you guys, did you do Twitch before the zombie apocalypse started?
No. We started it like as a result of it, just because we're like, we need to do something.
Yeah, like let's find something we can do.
And it keeps us interacting with people, which is nice, but like, you know, it's still just like we're talking to a chat.
Yeah.
It's not quite the same as like
So what?
We do our Twitch streams are specifically for Ben Balmaceda. And Hannah. Hannah's in the chat.
I see that.
Hannah and Ben.
Hannah and Ben.
What made you guys think to jump on Twitch? Like what prompted you to pick that platform? What was the motivation? How's your experience been?
I think we just what if we streamed games?
Yeah, because like it's just like we aren't gonna leave the house anymore. So even when we have work to do, it's like if it's like, oh, we are booked recording until 5 p.m. It's like, well, that doesn't mean we can't be ready an hour later to stream, you know, because there's no drive home anymore. And I don't know. I think it's some of our peers were starting to do it, and we were like, that seems fun.
And there was a period of time where like you and Cliff were talking like, that'd be fun if we played games.
Right. Yeah. I've been talking with Clifford Chapin for
good
years, really just being like, we should like play games. I bet people would like that. And like we've done it now. We've played the My Hero Fighting game on our channel like once, but he's like Discorded in. We have his audio and our thing, but like it's not the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
not the same as just having him there.
Persona 5 Royal came out, and we were like trying to vote on what we should play, and people voted on we should play Royal, and now it's been.
We've played that game
like
in-game counts 188 hours, and we have not played it off stream. So you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then how did you?
Whoa.
Guys, yeah, I'm not. I was trying to. I saw somebody popped up in chat that said the link from the website wasn't working. I was trying to multitask and edit the website at the same time. I don't know. Do you guys have either of you have WordPress websites?
Nah,
I do.
I've got Squarespace. Oh, you do?
Dude, you know how many times I'm locked out of my own webpage and it says too many failed login attempts? I'm like, but I'm who exactly is failing to log in? It's So and then it won't let you edit your own website for 24 hours. So now I'm stuck with yesterday's panel up on the webpage for 34 hours until I can edit it. What, Bryson, did you do Twitch before the zombie apocalypse started?
Yeah, so I started doing Twitch semi-regularly, well, I guess pretty regularly starting in January of last year, like 2019. Okay. And I got to a point where I was streaming the majority of the time I was streaming 3 times a week earlier in the week. But then literally just before all this started going down, I had decided to take like a quick hiatus because it was starting to feel like a lot to do on top of working. Because like they said, there's like, I was working my regular job and then driving home and then having to settle down and get set up for that. And I try to, we were talking about this before, is like, I try so hard to make everything look and sound good. Like for me, it's a time investment just to get ready to start the stuff going.
Right.
So like once this all started coming down, I never really picked it back up to quite the extent that I had before quarantine, but I've still been going at it semi-regularly. I think I've been going live at least like two times a week or so. And then maybe there'll be a week where I'm only on something once, but it's been something that I've been doing for a good while now. Yeah.
And then we do our like rotating streams, so like each week one
exactly.
of us will shoulder an additional burden.
Right, on Tuesdays for a Jackbox. Yeah.
So
I usually count those into that too. So
okay.
Yeah.
So did one of you talk the other one into it? Did you guys know each other before this all started? Like, how did you guys?
We've known each other, for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't think you've been streaming forever, and we weren't really. We were just like, we want to stream.
And then like when we wanted to do the Jackbox, I remember just being like, Bryson streams. I miss Bryson. Bryson was one of the last people we had dinner out with before.
Yeah, it was like
apocalypse happened.
February. We got udon in Houston. And we were down here for something. And what was I gonna say? No, I remember whenever we first started doing the Jackbox things, you just like mass messaged like a handful of people, and I was like, yes, that sounds fun. And then now here we are,
just,
three months later, still doing it.
Yeah, I was like, who are people who like to stream and like are like different people? So I was like, well, we got Bryson representing our Houston fam. We got Jonah repping the LA, Youngie repping New York, and then
Dallas.
Us, and Maddie Morris. And at first it was Cliff and Kristen. But they both work full time, so it's been harder to like nail them down.
Settled into a different.
And like
rotation.
Kellen played that first night. He like messages. He's like, "I love Jackbox," and like I think Cliff was going to bed or something, and I was like, "Here you go, Kellen. You can play with us now." And then so Kellen's been playing, and then Zeno. So it's
okay. Good. That's why in my head I'm like, is this the same group? So Zeno and Jonah are all in the same group with you guys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was your idea, right?
Yeah, it was my idea.
We had the idea to play Jackbox with our friends, then we did 1 week, and then we were like, I bet we could stream this and people would like it. And then we did it on our channel, and then we rotated to Jonah and Bryson.
We rotated between
three.
Yeah, Brittany and Matt, Jonah's stream and my stream, we rotate between the three every other week, or every week. Yeah.
Every week it goes to a different stream.
Yeah, we had some different like people play with us too. Like Ben Diskins played with us on Jonah's stream. Cliff and Kristen, like I said, played with us. Ben Molenstater played with us. Aaron Disney, Jordan Cruz,
Meg McDonald.
Meg McDonald.
We've had a handful of guests over the past few months.
Yeah, for sure.
We had Justin very briefly 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, Justin tried Briner tried to help take down Maddie Morris, who is the trivia murder champ.
Trivia champ. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so explain Jackbox for somebody who's I have no idea other than the fast food restaurant on the West Coast. I have no idea what you're talking about.
All right, I got it.
Yeah, do it.
It's a bunch of different games, so the rules are all different. You play it with the game being displayed on like a TV or something, and in our case, we stream to a Discord channel, so our other players can get that same screen, and you play it using a browser on your phone. Any phone. So you go to like jackbox.tv and then you enter a code that is generated for that game. And then you enter. And then once you're entered and all good, like say you have the max amount of people or something, you can start the game. Oh, our dog's whining. Where is she?
She's beeping.
Yeah, she's beeping. That was the patented beep. If you've never heard her beep, that was the sound. But once you've gotten everyone in there, you can like stream it or something. Like it's built to be streamed because then audience members can join by using that same code, and they can influence the game in a much smaller scale, but like as a single unit usually as the audience.
And like when we play Trivia Murder Party, the audience is a player itself too. So like the audience, like by group vote, like that's what vote they pick for each answer. So they could actually, I think they won once.
Yeah.
Like the audience can actually win.
Yeah. So it's really cool. And there's some stuff where you like draw. You draw on your
our favorite one. Split the room. They won.
I don't remember.
They won. The audience has won.
Yes. My favorite and the one that we do pretty much every week is TKO, where like everybody draws T-shirt designs, and then you draw like 3 of them each, And then after that, you guys type up a bunch of different captions for the t-shirts, and then they get generated and you make the shirts yourselves with a combination of the two. And at the end of it, like they vote on which one's the funniest, which one's the best. But then like the good thing about it is, or the super cool thing about it is that you can actually buy these shirts from like the Jackbox store. So like we've been getting people tweeting at us, just
Chris,
sending us pictures of their
we did a
crazy
hangout with
things.
earlier. He showed us that he has
four.
four
Wow.
Jackbox shirts that he's bought from our streams. It was Father Y, How Do I Be Voice Actor, That'll Learn Ya, and Maddie Morris Stan.
Nice.
So this is apparently where Derp Wolf came from for Jonah Scott.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
it was not the one that was I think a stream he did with just his fans, not with our group. But I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, like he I have to name everything something. Like on our side, we can't just have like this, you know what I mean? Like we have to sometimes we have to arbitrate. Like I was telling Bryson earlier, one of the most popular Danmachi prints for pickup girls in a dungeon, we call grocery shopping on our end, and it's literally like like
I got it right here.
Right? And he's like
shopping.
It just looks, he's got a bag of groceries and stuff's falling out, and so like we just named them these random things. So we called it Derp Wolf because I mean it's a wolf and it looks derpy. And then apparently it got named Egg in the stream or the game.
Really? It's called Egg.
Because Legoshi would eat. I don't know if anyone's seen Beastars here, but we watched it because we wanted to hear Jonah. And Legoshi would eat like religiously egg salad sandwiches. So someone must have put egg just as a joke, and then someone paired it perfectly with Legoshi looking silly. And egg.
We just ended up having this generic wolf that looked super derpy, and then it's got like the anime bloody nose. So, and then we have like a version without the is there a name for that? I feel like there's so much
a nosebleed. Yeah,
it's just it's not like a specific thing. It's just an anime nosebleed.
I'm like leaning over here because the dog's like.
I have found over this last I think we started the last week of April. We started ColorworldLIVE, there are Japanese terms for like tropes and things that are like, oh, that's this relationship, or that's this protagonist, or that's and I'm aware that I do not know. Like
I was gonna say, I recently heard from my boss, and I've already forgotten what it was because it was a few months ago. But like that trope where like you put your arm over someone's shoulder up against a wall. Apparently that has. I had no idea that was like had a name. I just knew it happened all the time.
Kabe means wall, and don, I think it's just the sound effect of like strike.
Yeah, I remember when we were getting ready to go to Japan, Aaron Dismuke was like, I hope Matt goes to a Kabe Don cafe. You get me a picture of him being slammed by like a shorter Japanese
like
girl
a dude,
guy.
A dude's definitely shorter than me.
You actually go to a place where somebody will slam you up against
You can do that. Yeah, you can do that.
That's pretty funny.
We haven't, but I know they exist.
Like Ichigo and Darling and the Franks is like Osuna Najimi, which is childhood friend.
So dog shaking.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. I know that there is a whole I don't know any of the Japanese. My whole existence is English dub. I got into anime because Jeremy Lee started reading the Colorworld book series, and I'm like, I should probably know who this person is. She seems important. And then I looked up, I was like, oh, it's a guest at the show that we're at. And so I watched like Sword Art and Fairy Tail, and then after that it's like I know there's a subculture of like sub versus dub, and I'm like, support my friends. So everything that they're in, I'm gonna stream. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna listen. I watch anime like audiobooks. Do you guys ever? I don't know how you consume anime if you're a consumer. I always have to be doing something, and so like I'll listen.
Oh yeah.
I feel like it's a pretty popular way. Like I know a lot of people like to watch dubs because they're like, oh, I sew at the same time or I work at the same time, and I have it and I like watch it, but I don't watch it. Yeah.
That's how I tend to consume most media in general. I'm a very passive consumer, I feel. like, because I'm constantly got myself doing something. So like if I'm gonna watch something, it's more that I'm listening to it for the most part, unless it's like my job, because I do have a job where I do have to sit and watch and look for specific things. But yeah.
All right, Brittany, how did you find yourself in front of a microphone?
Man, that's like a oh man, Raven, come on. Our dog is like, what if I put my nose right on the headphone splitter?
I didn't get her. She got away from me.
I'm not picking you up.
I can.
Okay, you can pick her up.
But she's not over
well,
here,
no,
so.
she doesn't want to be picked up.
She's not into it right now.
No, she's like,
she's just looking at us
I
being
want
like,
attention. Why are you talking to a screen and not me?
She's like, why aren't you feeding me 2 hours early, guys? Come on.
If I like try to direct my attention to you, she keeps sticking her nose on me, like, and poking me with it.
All right. Well, how did you find yourself in front of a microphone?
All right. So I wanted to do acting, and I'll try to be like the digest version of this. I want to do acting. And I had taken a lot of classes and stuff, doing acting stuff, and I had done this monologue class, and I did it. I was in middle school, and I chose a monologue from The Crucible, which is not exactly your expected monologue choice by a 8th grader. And I did this monologue for this class, and we had an agent showcase. So I went into the city, and I performed in front of a bunch of agents, and the only feedback I had gotten was that I had braces and I had glasses. So I was really upset about that, and I felt really discouraged. My high school was pretty cliquey, and getting involved in any sort of drama club or anything like that, if you weren't a popular kid, you were not going to do anything. So I kind of felt isolated, and I was like, I guess I even though I really wanted to be an actress, I didn't feel like I could. I felt insecure. And I always liked anime, and I always liked games. So a few years later, I had discovered that people actually voice anime and games. I don't know why I never made that realization. So I was like, that's what I can do. It doesn't matter if I have glasses or braces. I could just be the voice. So I started looking into how to do that. I joined different like groups and
Communities and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, all sorts of communities and stuff. I met a lot of people. I was living in New York, so I was able to like meet people at meetup groups in New York City, which is how I met people I'm still friends with today, that also wanted to do voice acting. And yeah,
Awesome.
like
I've known them since like 2010.
Yeah.
Did you meet them in New York?
Not in New York, just like through online communities and stuff, because we both have we have a kind of similar reason for doing it. So yeah.
And like Youngie, who we do all of our Jackbox streams with, was one of the people I met in New York City in like 2010 when I was like a high schooler. Same with Clifford Chapin. He went to school on Long Island for college, and like so I met him at a convention when we did like a meetup group of people who wanted to be voice actors. Justin Briner. There's like a picture that one of the directors or the producer, Zach Bolton at Funimation, shared of Soul Leader having a premiere in 2010. And he said, spot the full-time Funimation employee. And right in the middle of the picture, you can see Cliff in it. And the funny part is, in that picture, there are at least 5 or 6 other people who work as voice actors now. You couldn't see them in the picture exactly.
In the crowd.
In the crowd, but in that crowd. Because Youngie Chang was there, me and Matt were there, Christine Osi was there, Justin Briner was there, Clifford Chapin was there, and those are just people we know were there.
Yeah.
There were at least 6 people who are now voice actors were in that crowd, and like I'm sure there were others. I'm sure there were. So that's very funny to me. But yeah, so I took a lot of classes, and I was lucky that a friend of mine who was in the industry already and was familiar with like my sound and stuff recommended me to NYEV Post, and I did an audition for them when I was in college, and then I didn't book it, and then I did an audition for them a few months later that I did book, and that was my first anime role, and I played Miram in Queensblade, and then I have been voice acting ever since. Like, I mean, I was voice acting before that, but that was my first anime, so I've been voice acting for anime ever since. I had the opportunity to do like Honey Pop, which a lot of people know me for. I did that around the same time, and I'd done a whole bunch of Hasbro apps and games for Hasbro officially as for My Little Pony characters and stuff. So, yeah.
Did you go to NYU, or is there another school that a lot of people end up in New York?
I actually did not. So I lived on Long Island, and I grew up on Long Island. So did Matt. We were like 5 minutes away from each other.
Yes, I have an LIU. I can't remember what the mascot is at this point, but they made the NCAA basketball tournament in like 2000, 2001, which for sports fans is a huge deal when you're like tiny little school goes to the big game. And so like I dated a girl that was on Long Island. I went out there. I spent like the week on Long Island. It's pretty fabulous. Okay, go.
Yeah, so I grew up there, and then I went to school up near Rochester to SUNY Geneseo. So it was very far away from New York City. And I had gone to New York City for some stuff. And then conveniently, like when I booked my first anime, that was like, I got that audition the day I was coming back from college. So I was back in the New York City, Long Island area. And then otherwise, like other things I did, I had my own like home setup like I do now. My home setup now is way better, but I had like a home setup that I recorded like stuff for Hasbro on or other video games and stuff like that.
Matt, how did you get into? There's something in the air in that time period, in that geography, but how did you get in front of a mic, man?
Well, what's funny is that we completely just independently of each other, my headphones, whatever. We independently of each other just got interested in it. Like we didn't know we met after we were both interested in voiceover already.
Yeah.
Even though we went to the same high school and grew up like 5 minutes apart from each other, and like, you know.
Oh wow.
So I
didn't know that detail. I thought you guys like knew each other before all that. Okay.
House when we were younger. Yeah.
So I'll also do like the digest version of my story. I like figured out what VO was.
Okay.
The inciting incident was a friend of mine who had been watching like Bleach online, subtitled, probably illegally, because back then, what were the legal streams? None. And I was hanging out with him, and there was a commercial for the show on Adult Swim, Adult Swim at the time, I think. And he was like, I don't like the English voice. And I was like, what does that mean? What? And so then I looked into it, and I found out that actor, it was Johnny Young Bosch, was my favorite Power Ranger. And then I like simultaneously was like, wow, actors can be in multiple things. And also this explains why this guy from Ed, Ed and Eddie sounds like this guy from Mega Man NT Warrior.
Like, yes, I thought the same thing. Right?
And also Yasha and Burner Man. They're the two that I might splitter here. They're the two that I was like, wait, I've clocked this before. So I was interested in it. I looked into it. I like kind of learned what it was, and I started like learning and working on like low budget video games and indie video games, low budget commercials, all that stuff, like on the internet in a bunch of different like, you know, forums and pay to play sites and stuff. I just bought some equipment, nothing good in the beginning. And I did that for a number of years. I was 15 at the time. And then after I graduated college, which would have been, how old would I be after college? 22 or something like that. I had been, you know, networking with people and meeting people online like Bryson and obviously Brittany and Cliff and all these other people. Like we've made friends and all had similar goals. So, you know, we kept in touch. And I had at that point advanced to auditioning for like more notable stuff. So I was at a studio auditioning for a movie that I didn't book. And I got an email from a director that I worked with at a couple of classes. Like I took his class, and he's the director for Yu-Gi-Oh! And he was like, hey, we're casting this really important character. I like skimmed the part that said really important somehow. I forgot. I thought because the image they gave me, he had sunglasses and a scarf up. And so I was like, he's a goon. He's like a 1-episode guy, but I would love to be in Yu-Gi-Oh! And we need you to record the audition, have it in by tomorrow, and then you'll know if you're cast. No, we needed it by today and a day. But you'll know if you're cast by tomorrow, and then you have to come in to record it the next day if you're the one who gets picked. And this was an ongoing thing, but that was the first like batch of episodes or whatever. So I walked out of that one audition I was in, and I was like, well, we'll see what happens. I never booked that, but I went home and I recorded this thing and I sent it off. And then I looked into the character and I was like, wait, this character is like real. He's like one of the main characters of this season. And then the next day I was driving to my day job, which was retail at Apple, an Apple store. and I stopped to get gas, which I never do on my way to work. I always get it on the way back, but I stopped there and I got an email that was like, "Hey, you're cast, come in tomorrow." And I was like,
I work tomorrow.
Okay. No, I didn't. Somehow I didn't. I got really lucky.
Yeah, that's good.
Sick, whatever. And then I did it, and then it was just like, wow, okay, I'm in this thing now. And then I used that to be like, hey, I'm in this thing. I do this work now.
Yeah.
I'm a professional. Hey, and then I just met a bunch of people. I'd also, before that, I had worked on Holy Night with Brittany. I did a small part. He had like 6 cues or something throughout the whole show. Cliff's silent henchman was technically my first anime role. He grunted and said 1 or 2 things, but yeah, I mean and then from there it just grew because it's like, cool, now I know what I'm doing.
We took a lot of classes too.
Yes, I skimmed over years of training and classes and networking and
we went and we studied, like we weren't majoring in theater at school, but we took a lot of theater classes, a lot of acting classes.
Yeah, what Brittany, did you get a degree?
I got a degree in history with a minor in Asian studies, and my thesis was about anime.
That's awesome. Matt, what was your degree in?
Communication. I went into college being like, I guess I'll do computer science because my parents were like, that's good. And I hated it.
Do something with computers.
Big money.
I hated it. So I switched, and I was talking to a friend of mine who was a communication major with a theater minor. And he was like, that's easy, you can do that. So I was like, oh, I'll do that. So I switched to the communication major and I started taking classes to do the theater minor. And then I took history of theater and I hated that. So I was like, why don't I just take the history classes? I don't care what this piece of paper says about my abilities. I'll just learn. And so I don't have a minor, but I took a bunch of the acting classes.
And then what about you, Bryson? What is your degree in?
I have a BFA acting directing from Sam. There's a handful of Sam people in anime now, but Sam Houston in Huntsville, Texas. But yeah, it's not how I got into the business. It just sort of happenstanced in that way. But yeah, in terms of voice acting, I kind of started similarly to them, where I just kind of figured out one day that like voice acting was a thing, and then I was like, how do I do this? And so I Googled it, and then I found like communities online of people that were interested and just supporting each other, and then making friends who I'm going out of focus. I don't know why. It's a webcam. Come here. Oh my goodness. Oh well. But yeah, I just sort of did similar to them. I just sort of did my own research as to what I needed to know. I got my own sort of home studio and blah blah blah. And then this I wish I knew about this website when I was younger. But this is the website that pretty much anybody will tell you to go to if you're interested in this stuff.
Yeah.
I sadly just got back a response from his agent because one of my friends is a manager for somebody who's got a really cool Clone Wars actor, and I was like, man, I would love to do a freaking Clone Wars panel. I'm a huge Star Wars dude. And then I was like, oh, I wonder who plays Rex. Oh, D. Bradley. Huh, that's cool. I wonder who plays 5. Oh, D. Bradley Baker. I wonder who plays Heavy. Oh, I'm pretty sure D. Bradley Baker played all the clone troopers in Clone Wars. So I sent an email off, and they're like, it was basically like, unless you're Lucasfilm, the answer's no. I
bet there's some real tight restrictions on like what you can do
stuff
as
like that. Probably
Star Wars, they probably have to approve everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes that can happen with really high profile stuff.
I was sad to say the least. Do any of you guys watch Clone Wars?
I've heard good things about it. I just I never had cable growing up, so I didn't get Cartoon Network or any of that stuff. So I wasn't able to keep up with shows that weren't on like local channels or anything like that. So I did get like the early seasons of Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff like that before they went to cable networks and stuff. But yeah, it was just
on Netflix.
Whatever's on Kids WB.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, I'm 40, so it's been a minute. Most of my content has been like Netflix. Before Disney like used Netflix to test the concept of streaming and like how successful streaming. Disney was like, I'm gonna make some money, and I'm gonna take all the royalty fees, and I'm gonna use it to build a platform to take you down. And so that was like, have you guys seen that YouTube video of Disney versus Netflix and like how they broke up?
No, I haven't seen that. Is it like a long form like video essay? Because I love those. Honestly, I always have those on.
I will drop a link in chat for you guys. It is one of the funniest things I've seen, and it's basically Netflix comes into the office with Disney as like Netflix is like an employee, and then it's like we're letting you go, and he was like, but I thought there was like something there, and then like it's very like Disney as evil empire, like breaking up with Netflix, and how like it didn't. And they're like, well, you're gonna do the same thing that we like, but yeah, but it's another girl. It's not you. It's gonna be like, it's a lot of fun. So I will drop a link in that. How did you guys end up meeting in real life? So the internet community existed. You knew who each other was. Bryson, how did you meet in real life?
So the first time I got to meet these two in real life was because they sent me an audition for a project they were working on called I Know Kusabi, which is like a yaoi that they were doing the dub for. It was going to be the first dubbed HD yaoi on Blu-ray and blah 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 from Media Blasters.
We met
actually met in person.
That was the first time I met you in person because I was a little bit nervous. I was like, we're gonna go meet in person, and it's like I've heard your voices for like ever up to that
Yeah,
point.
we've known each other for years.
And then Matt opens the door and he's so tall, and I'm like, oh, there you are. It's always jarring meeting somebody that you've only had online interactions with up to that point. So it's like, oh, it's a person now, but not. It was great. That was a lot of fun, and it was the first time getting to work with them was working on like an actual like sizable character in this project they were working on. So it was fun to be able to just hang out as well.
Non-stop 7-hour.
Yeah, because I was going to college at the time still. So I was having to. At least when it came to recording in Houston, I would have to like go down and back up in time for rehearsals or all this stuff. And Huntsville's like an hour away from Houston and 3 hours away from Dallas. So with Dallas stuff, I would have to like dedicate an entire day to it. But then also like I need to be back home tomorrow because I got work or because I got a class to get to or something. So a lot of that stuff I had to push to the weekend. But it was fun, and we got to get through it, and then we hung out and we went out to eat or something. I think y'all took me to some Chinese restaurant with Clifford too. I think at that point, but I don't remember if it was that one.
Yeah.
At some point we were like, oh, Bryson's in town, like let's do something. Yeah.
And then not too long after that, you were cast in FRANXX.
Yeah,
exactly. It was like a couple months later.
Yeah.
It was a few months later. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
So then you guys had already all ended up in Texas. So like what, Brittany and Matt, like what made you choose the Dallas Metro? And then Bryson, how did you choose Houston?
I didn't choose, my parents did, and I've just kind of been here.
Man,
I lucked out. So
yeah, I was gonna say that's incredible that like the circumstances ended up. Well, Brittany and Matt, then how did you guys? There was more choice involved in your journey.
Well, the funny thing is that we were still born in a voiceover market. Like we both we didn't live in New York City, but we were like an hour train ride to it.
Yeah, we would just take the train.
So like we also were just lucky in that way, but then we decided to move here.
Yeah, I was already directing anime in New York. I was living in Queens. And I liked it there. I do miss it. My family was on Long Island too, so I was close to them there, but rent was really expensive, and even though I had an agent, like it was just a lot to keep up with. Like trying to book work at the smaller opportunities there were. I wanted to direct more, and like I had interviewed for a really big directing job, and I didn't get it, and so I was like, well, like I will continue to direct at Media Blasters, but I don't know how much work they'll have for me. So like, what should we do? And we had heard that Crunchyroll and Funimation had this partnership, and there might be more directing opportunities down there. So that was interesting to me. And Matt and I had recently formed a company, and the cost of operating a company in Texas is significantly cheaper than operating one in New York. A lot of the actors we were using in New York for things were because like there's not a ton of like animation voiceover work in New York. They were starting to go off on tour because so many of them were musical theater actors.
Mhm.
Some of them were moving away to LA and stuff. And we had heard how cheap it was to live in Texas and how you could own like a house for less than we were paying monthly for our apartments. So all those things, it was like, okay, well, there's work, there's room for company growth, there's room for personal growth, there's work opportunities, there's people we know down there that we were friends with already. Cliff's been a good friend of ours for a long time, and we had started to meet people. I worked with people that were in Texas, using them for the Media Blasters projects I had worked on. So it seemed like it could be a cost-effective move for us.
What is the VO
Obviously,
in New York? What is the VO market like? Yeah, because animation's not coming out of New York. Like, what is New York known for as far as VO goes?
Commercials. I was represented by an agent that I was doing about 8 auditions a week. And it was majority commercials. There was like maybe once a month I would get something that was animated.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
and like we both worked on, like I worked on Yu-Gi-Oh in New York, and Brittany worked on Pokemon. So those were kind of the big like animation, consistent animation gigs. But I've heard of other shows and stuff, but like they would come and go, you know. So you couldn't rely on animation work necessarily.
And even like
and wasn't
houses that were there. Like I had an audition at the place that did Wonder Pets, and they were working on a different series, but they were working on that series for like years. So like, and it wasn't called Wonder Pets. I forget what it was, like just an unrelated thing done at their animation house that they cast for in studio. I had one audition with them, and I like don't even know if that project's finished yet because it takes so long sometimes to do like a multiple season thing, from like the start of animation to like putting the music behind it to doing the voices. Like sometimes it can move slow sometimes, especially like if you're like curating something to like pitch to a different like vendor of some sort. So yeah.
In New York's a fast town. We got to get things done. No, I'm joking.
And like Dallas at least has a lot of anime, which is like cool. There's a lot of work. It's really just Funimation.
Yeah.
But it's also animation, or ADR in particular, like dubbing pays very, very little compared to pretty much all other forms of voiceover. So it's a little easier to get into because there's a lot of people who, you know, are like, that's not worth my time. Like I book this commercial and it gets me thousands of dollars, and it's like, so why would I do this for this amount? So it's a good, like, you know, a lot of people treat it as a starting point or something, but like if you can make a living, whatever. And then LA kind of has everything, but like more games. As well, but LA is like probably the biggest market, I would say, in the US. New York is huge too, though.
Now that Netflix is dubbing live action, foreign films. Netflix is dubbing all sorts of it. They're more than willing to take on Hulu and Crunchyroll, and you know what I mean? Like, I think Netflix is going to be a huge player in the space. Like, they're not ready to roll over.
Yeah.
I don't know. Not. I hate the way they release anime.
I hate it.
I hate that they hold it back.
Weekly.
Yeah, because it airs in Japan weekly, and if they license, so there's two different things. We'll just go through this real quick. Yeah. Netflix can
I'll be right back. My dog is barking really heavy because Jasmine just went to go grab food, and I think he thinks he's alone. I'll be right back.
You know about this stuff anyway. So Netflix, they can either be on the production team of a show, and that show will stream exclusively on Netflix. Everywhere, and then that show will drop everywhere at the same time in all languages, and that's it. For anime, they can also license things that are still airing weekly in Japan, but what they do is it airs in Japan and they like dub it either as it's airing or a little afterwards, and they don't stream it even subtitled on Netflix until just a certain date, which is always after it's aired in Japan. So like people who like pirate anime are just out there being like, yeah, I watched that show already.
Look at her.
Raven?
Look at her.
Hey. so the discussion gets a little curtailed, or like some people talk about it ahead of time, or you see stuff about it, you get spoiled about it.
Or like
before it can
people
be there.
pirate it.
Or people pirate it, you know, because they want to watch it as it's coming out and talk to the community about it rather than wait. I love their model for shows where it's not airing anywhere else, though, because I love binging stuff, but I hate like waiting for a show that came out half a year ago, and people have already seen. So
I think it keeps. I think it's. Some people think that it like gives it a second wind in the public eye in terms of like the ongoing conversation. But I feel like when a show is binged, the lifespan of that second wind is so much shorter than like week by week an ongoing conversation for, let's say, half a year, for 12 episodes, as opposed to like, oh, did you see the new show came out on Netflix? Yeah, let's watch it this weekend and talk about it for about a week, and then next week we're on to the next thing. Like it sort of it gives it that sort of thing.
And then have you seen, Bryson, any uptick in Food Wars excitement because it's hit Netflix?
I think more so when it hit Toonami is when it started to grow a lot more. And Toonami, I think it's sort of similar. It had that they were broadcasting an episode a week, and people were starting to tune in every week and talk about the latest episode and all that stuff. And I have had friends like just locally who here or there who pretty much only watch stuff on Netflix, who I have heard a couple things from people who don't like regularly watch anime, like, hey, I saw you were in this show on Netflix. It was super cool. And I was like, oh, you should watch that. Nice. It's super cool. But I think in terms of like the anime fandom, I think in that regard, they tend to prefer more of that sort of as it's coming out sort of.
It definitely puts until like this moment that we're having right now, I'm really like simuldub, who cares? But now that Brittany, you're like explaining the implications of not doing it, I see why the simuldub is like, why it's important to get it out to market before it's. I guess for me, I'm so committed to the English dub that under almost no circumstances am I ever going to watch it not with you all doing it. Like there's just
and that's like Funimation started doing like the simuldub, and there are like I directed Morosu Mononoke, which did its entire run weekly as the Japanese is coming out for 13 episodes.
It came out dubbed at the same time as the subtitle.
It was one of the first ones to not have any delays. And then right after that, Cliff and I directed together Wise Man's Grandchild, which did the same thing, where it was once a week, the Japanese and English at the same time would come out. And that's really exciting for people because then like there is no waiting for a dub. The dub is out, and people who are watching sub and dub are getting that information at the same time. There's no spoilers.
And they can participate in the conversation.
And Darling in the Franxx had like what, like a 2-week delay?
It was a 2-week delay, which is pretty standard, decent simuldub delay. So it was like, episode 3 of the sub aired and episode 1 of the dub came out. It's like, so you're barely behind at all compared to like years ago, it'd be the entire show airs and then like a year later, the entire show.
Like half the show.
Yeah.
Is there any other market like English dub? Like, what does the Spanish dub market look like? What is, I would say, is the French dub huge, or people in France?
German dubs actually are pretty, like, they're pretty big, I think.
Yeah.
Germany, like, I know there's a German dub of Galactic Heroes, which is the poster behind me. I know there's there was even a German dub, I think, of Holy Night, like after we did the Holy Night dub, or even before it. Like, I feel like Germany dubs things pretty regularly. I think that France announced that they're doing a simuldub of a Funimation show called Decadence.
Okay.
I don't think they get as many dubs as the English dub market does, but they're there at Crunchyroll and Funimation. Both, I think, have started to have some of their licenses dubbed by like Spanish and like there's like Brazilian and Portuguese dubs of stuff on Crunchyroll.
FRANXX has
FRANXX too. Yeah, I think that like we opened up ReZero the other day, and I was like, I didn't know there's a German dub.
Yeah, I was like, all right, let's go to season 2, episode 2, and it's like, here's season 1 subtitled, season 1 Portuguese, season 1 Brazil, season 1.
Yeah,
because the way that Hulu like or would it be Crunchyroll, the way that they organize it, instead of audio track on a single video, we'll upload the same video of them.
And I feel like I've heard that like and this is like relevant to you, Bryson, like a lot of people talking about the Saint Seiya dub, the Spanish dub was really popular. Like, and that was like one of the only ones to do a whole bunch of it.
Oh yeah.
Right. I think that they've got further than some of the other. I don't know.
I'm not entirely sure about how that went, but like I all I can think of is that it might have something to do with how Netflix is doing their stuff, as far as I know, and this might contribute to the reason that they hold it so close, or like they hold it back for such a long time and then release it at once. From what I can tell, it seems like Netflix might want to just like release the whole thing and have it accessible to everyone in one, like, because Netflix, as far as I know, all of their anime has a Spanish dub, an English dub, a Portuguese or a French, and all. Like I think I don't quote me because I'm not entirely sure, but I think a majority of Netflix's like anime that Netflix directly dubbed, they try to make sure that they have as many languages as possible on it.
Okay.
Not just anime, but I'm pretty sure most Netflix properties, if they're a Netflix original, like you can watch it in different languages.
Yeah, like I bet you could turn on Stranger Things and there'd be like
a Japanese track.
Yeah.
I remember watching Money Heist, and I was like, I'm 100% positive that's Todd Heinrich. Yeah, that was Jeremy. Okay, I'm pulling the cast list right now because I watched so much by listening to it that I didn't notice the flaps until I was like, all right, I'm gonna watch this thing. Okay, English isn't the original language for this. And sure enough, I went and I pulled. They're dubbing live. Like, to me, that was like super cool. Have you guys done any live action dubs of a foreign?
I did very limited amount, but it was I did like a small character in Kaiju Mono, which was a kaiju sort of parody movie that came out like 2 years ago. And that was fun. I had something else I wanted to comment on, but I'll let them say what they were saying.
I don't even remember the name of mine. I just did a live action dub years ago when I
did one like a month or two ago.
I was like characters, and I never saw it.
Well, I was going to comment on like the multiple languages things with Netflix, and it's just like a small comment, but like Jasmine, my fiance, she's recently gotten really back into watching K-dramas a lot. She's not the biggest anime fan, but she's like super into K-dramas and K-pop and stuff like that. So like she'll be watching these dramas and stuff, and I'll be like, okay, and she's watching them in the subtitle, and I was like, I wonder if they even like dub these or not. And then she was like finishing off the credits of one, and I saw English cast. I was like, oh, they dubbed the K-dramas too. Like I didn't even know that was a thing. And I was like, oh hey. And then it had like the German dub, the Spanish, the Portuguese cast list, all that stuff right at the end. If you don't skip to next episode or something like that. I was like, oh. And then I would look at the English cast. I was like, oh, there's a lot of familiar LA anime names right there. So I'm just like, oh hey, there it is.
Because they're familiar with the process of dubbing.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel like my moral of the story, my takeaway each week is that if somebody wants to be in this industry, to not see it through one tiny lens, that commercials are work and their dubbing exists far beyond just anime. That like, and if you are a non-native speaker or your English is your second language, like. There are French, there is German, there is Spanish. Like Alicia Rodriguez works with us, and I'm like, don't do English dub, go be a Spanish superstar. Like she, you know what I mean? Like there's not just one way to get into this industry, and I think that's one of my big takeaways. I appreciate you guys sharing your experience. I have never had the opportunity to talk to anybody that had any New York experience at all. And I hear about it so rarely just because so much happens in LA and in Texas that I just, nobody shares. So,
I'm sure in New York, anyone who's a voice actor in New York probably makes more money if they're working regularly than anyone in Texas does. Yeah. Because like you're talking about like commercial projects that pay thousands and thousands of dollars for like a session will pay not that. My dubbing in the dubs I did in
New
York paid better than any of the dubs I've done anywhere else.
Yeah. Even like what I've heard is the general rates in like LA. And
yeah.
But the other thing I wanted to say quick is that all of us here we have other jobs that help support us too. Like like I do ADR scripting all the time. I'm doing that tomorrow and the next day, or I'm dedicating like 10 hours per day to moving through a script, and I've done like some engineering and some stuff too. And Brittany's a director and also has written scripts and done engineering. And Bryson, I know you do QA.
I'm QC 40 hours a week, 40 hours on top of everything else I do.
What do you QC? Are you QC?
Anime, yeah. So like I actually kind of accidentally fell into that. I came to the studio being like, hey, are you looking for more script writers? They were like, no, but you can do contract QC if you want. And I was like, sure. And then that eventually led into them having an opening and position and all that stuff. And they were like, we don't normally hire actors for this stuff, but we have a position open and you already have the experience and blah, blah, blah. So I just sort of tumbled into that. But I mean, it was pretty good.
But like just the acting we do probably wouldn't be enough to sustain.
No,
I also
definitely not.
In like right now, I'm not doing as much directing because I used to do a lot of contract directing at Funimation. I was either assistant directing or directing my own shows. So that's not really happening right now. And I do direct some things through the company that Matt and I own. But again, like with how things are right now, there's not much work. But I have like a lot of other voiceover work I do. Like I've connected with a lot of clients that I used to work with in New York that are now willing to work with me now here remotely. I've connected with new clients. Like I record games. I record like a lot of indie games. I do like different like commercials or whatever people like whatever I work I get. Like I do a lot of internet voiceover too.
Well, and I love your website. So I did drop that the link to, I'll put it in chat one more time before I go to another link. It's called Netflix Reacts to Disney Plus. I freaking love it so hard. And then I'm going to bring up your website. We'll do parting shots. And then Bryson, I would imagine I'll bring up your Twitch channel. If something else, you let me know.
Sure thing. Sounds good.
I love your website, Brittany.
Oh, thank you. I need to remake it. I haven't updated it in so long. It needs to be updated.
I revamped mine earlier in the quarantine, so I was like, but
Matt
there's
Shipman
still things I want to fix.
I don't have a website, but I bought like literally 2 days ago. I bought a domain URL and I love it. It's mattshipman.zone.
Oh wow.
.zone.
Was .com taken or was it too expensive?
It was taken, but I also think .zone is really funny.
Yeah,
so
that's great.
So come back here at some point, right?
At some point.
At some point, come back there, and then
my something fell.
Rachel is motoring around the shop in a chair. She said she's like, it's hot. There's no air conditioning in the shop, so we just have to fake the glistening. It's just something else. It's, I don't know. So there's, I'm going to drop this link in. You guys rotate on streams, right? Okay.
Yeah,
so,
Matt and I also
this is mine. And then, so they also have a channel. It's Matt and Brittany, BRINNY. And that one's great too. That one's great too. They play.
Bryson, you can get your very own Carl Weezer emote.
Yeah, I do have my own. I have a Carl Weezer emote, referencing some of the Jackbox jokes that we did. And then if you can see in the thumbnail there's a dancing 3D Carl Weezer doing the default dance from Fortnite.
The third one.
There it is.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it looks like y'all are hosting somebody. I don't know. Oh, never mind.
We probably are. I have auto host list set up.
Mm-hmm.
Brittany, and then have you taken that live yet?
No, because I looked at the event and it has all these things that shouldn't be.
It has all these. I was trying to
copied it.
All right, hold on. It's in documents, you said?
Yeah, so go to documents search for.
Okay, so Bryson, this is what's been happening behind the scenes.
Oh,
Rachel,
yeah?
Oh, dude, check this out. I think you're going to be pretty stoked, my dude.
I think I will. Let's see how let's see it.
Here's the big reveal. Let's see. I have to stop and then I have to point in another,
direction.
Application window. Oh, dude, check this out.
Yeah. Epic battle of food, Bryson versus Brad.
I think it's super fun.
Yeah. I got the Mezzaluna and everything.
Yeah,
That's
I love
a little tiny one my boss gave me for Christmas. It's great.
All my utensils are like they're off the screen. That's okay. I love the verses and the Rachel just like literally did this during the live stream. So
Nice.
Matt or Brittany, do either of you have characters in Food Wars?
No.
We played bits.
We played bits in it though. It's somehow.
In season 3, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do any of them have names?
No.
Oh.
Well, if you want to do a food war anyway, I
I want to do one anyway.
you guys like to cook. I really like to cook, you guys.
I'm not good at it.
I was cooking more, and there was like a week or two in quarantine where I cooked a lot, and then I kind of just fell off.
And you're like, I'm over this. That was exciting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so be on the lookout, you guys. Rachel's getting that event ready to launch and go live, and you'll be able to buy tickets for that. All the Food Wars, they're super cheap, $2.99 pay-per-view. And then keep these actors working. So let's feed the actors. Booth rates are not anything you can live off of. So it's super important to help support people that you think produce cool content. And then do you guys, what happens on Jackbox Tuesdays? What is there a pot? What happens to the winnings? Tell me more about that.
We just play it.
We did a charity event all of June, but now there's you just watch it. There's some ads. You might watch some ads.
There's 8 of us.
There's
It's
8 of
funny.
us. We have a fun
That's the
time.
draw.
Good.
That's it.
Okay, so be on the lookout for that stuff. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. The VIP panel is next. We will be furiously checking requests and tweets. If anybody has purchased items during the panel, let me know. Shoot an email to that moderator email, and we will get you into VIP. VIP is all audience questions. I'm going to shut up other than being able to read a question. I'm going to zip my lips, and then we're going to let all of our guests answer 100% of the questions in VIP. So
You guys should get one of those sick Inisa prints behind him. I want them really badly. There's that one.
Grab grocery shopping.
Yeah, and on the side, there's those two, and then there's the one that I have as a blanket. Here is the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love all that. I want them.
Grocery shopping, Bryson.
Yeah, I see it right there.
Yeah. So, yes, go support our guests. All purchases of any kind, personalized audio, personalized video, autographs, all get into VIP. And then those will be available. If you book later, we can always arrange to do hangouts after the fact. A lot of times we do monthly merch stores. So we'll twist Matt and Brittany's arm to come back. In fact, twisted Brittany's arm, and she'll be back on the 25th, which is going to be excellent. And then Matt, we'll see if we can't get him to do a merch store. So you guys can book time to hang out. So thank you, everybody. It's been a blast getting to know you, Matt and Brittany. Bryson, it is always a pleasure to see you. You guys take a break, and we'll be back in 20 in VIP.
Bye.
Thanks for having us. Bye.
Bye.